Hey guys, Vandy as well, back in Carpet Vanguard Deck Files, big as Jordan.com, subscribe to this shop. This time we're covering DZ set 4 for Aelquilibra. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm gonna call this card Equilibrium the entire time. I do not feel like trying to figure out how to pronounce it right now. I'm recording this right off the back of the Levy Draws video. If you don't remember my intro for that one, I literally said I am recording in a closed off, like, hot ass room. There's a high chance I pass out here, so yeah, hopefully I don't, but I'm not gonna try to argue what this thing's name is today, so I'm gonna call it Equilibrium. I know I'm wrong, but I don't care. But anyways, this deck is really fun to play. It is by all means my favorite Destined one. It's very simplistic. It literally is just call stuff, go face, and I love it so much. It fits my playstyle so well. So go ahead and start, shall we, and see what we got. First of today, we have our energy generator. It's our ride deck crest. The amount of ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck. When you ride, put this card into your crest zone. If you win second, energy charge 3. Continuous, you may have to tap energy and auto begin your ride phase. Energy charge 3. And then act Vanguard. Or it's not act Vanguard. Act once per turn. Energy plus 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. Every single turn, you get a free 3 energy. This deck, depending on how you play it, can use up energy a lot. Like, personally, when I play it, it doesn't use up energy, but I know my friend, when he plays it, uses up a lot of energy. So it just depends on your play style. But I will tell you right now, you will probably never get this draw skill off because of, like, the important cards that have energy in this deck. But either way, though, it's nice that you get free 3 energy every turn. If you go second, it definitely helps you out a little bit more, especially because with this deck, your divine skill can proc off faster if you go second. So that's our ride deck crest. Then we have our starter in Rahal Drag. God damn it, Bushy. Why did it have to be the hot day that I have to record things that I don't have to pronounce the name of? Great Zone boost 5k, shows escape base, armor power, so I can draw a card, standard start, no free drop if you go second. You can make this any however you want. I used to make it Herald Dragon just to fit the theme. Also, this thing is a dragon with machine guns attached to its wings. Who wouldn't run this card? Like, one general note I'm going to say overall, I really like the art style of this deck, and the ride deck especially. I love all of them so much because all of them look like they would feel so smooth if you were to, like, interact with them in real life. It feels like their skills would be so smooth, so I really like this ride deck a lot. Then we have our Overtrigger, obviously, in Dragon Deity King of Resurgence Drag Veda. Great Zone boost, 50k show, 5k power, Overtrigger, move Overtrigger, a deck, move it, as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one move, gets put another turn, and if it giant check activate, it's a disfight, would you get to choose one Vanguard to stand it. All around, pretty solid. You get an extra Vanguard attack. This deck can do an extra bop damage on your opponent's skill thanks to the Vanguard's ability, so being able to get an extra Vanguard attack out of that is great. Sadly, this deck's Vanguard does not have an on-attack ability, so it can't get the most out of Drag Veda skill, but hey, 3 million draw is nice. If you want to run the other Overtriggers, you very much can. I just used to make a Drag Veda because I always like to use the Nation Overtrigger. If Bushy ever did make another Nation Overtrigger, depending on what it would do, I honestly might change out Drag Veda for it, depending, but again, I like Drag Veda a lot, adds the pressure for the deck, so it's a one-up for me. And then we have our normal triggers, 3 copies of Flare Veil Dragon, Great Zone boost, 5k shield, 4k base, draw trigger, continues guard, so opponent's Vanguard to Great 3 guard, 5k shield, you know, it's a 10k shield, doesn't have it, draw triggers, helps increase the hand. Listen, this deck is probably one of the ones that I will consistently throw out my entire hand and fill up my entire board by the time I get to Grade 3, and even then, if I don't do it by then I probably specifically have waited so I could call a full board on Grade 3 turn. So having Flare Veil to help increase my hand back after I go all in on the aggro is nice, but also having an extra 10k shield, or extra 5k shield, making it 10k shield is also nice when most of my deck is grade 1s and then I proceed to call all of my grade 1s to board. So 3 of Flare Veil helps make up for the lack of guarding power I kind of put myself into. Then we have a total of 8 crits because obviously if we're going to go aggro, we might as well go all in with it. 4 copies of Rogue Beast Unagosity, Great Zone boost, 15k shield, 5k power. You can make this any crit you want. As I said in the Levy Draws video, I wanted my triggers to be almost the exact same as their respective faded ones, and since Sunagosari is Varga's critical trigger, then obviously it's the critical trigger here. Then we have 4 copies of Burning Flow Dragon, Great Zone boost, 15k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and boost to shove the soul, 2k for the turn. Okay, as discovered with the match that me and my friend played, 1 soul can very much make the difference even if it doesn't look like it, because this deck does end up using 2 soul blasts on the main Vanguard skill, so being able to go to soul and give 2k, even though it's not a lot, especially in a deck that just gives numbers anyways, is helpful, because in that game, if I did not tell him to soul charge, I would have won, because he would have been 1 soul off from giving everything 5k, and he had already used the divine skill, and he wouldn't have been able to proc overcharge. But you know what? I lost because I helped my friends. We'll say what it is. Either way, though, 8 crit for, you know, that nice pressure of the Vanguard attack, especially because you can do a bop damage, bring your opponent to higher damage almost immediately. And then we have 4 copies of Refreshing Wind Dragon Deno Breeze, Great Zone boost, 50k shield, 5k power, standard heal, nothing special. You can make it to your own heal. I used to make it this one because, again, it's Vargas heal. You can make whatever you want. You can even make it the counter heals, but I prefer the consistent 15k shield or flex rate in 10-25. But it's what it is. And I don't know why. Looking at this card now, it reminds me of Dragon Ball scene because, you know, like the 2 mounted pillars in the back top. Either way, 4 of this. Then we move on to our grade 1s. 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Togachirashi. Grade 1, boost, 5k shield, 7k base, auto and ditch from the hand during your turn, you may shuffle this card to soul. Okay, I know a lot of you are probably already thinking several of the cards that could have been placed here. I want to let this be clear. I record the matches with these decks at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let me rephrase that. I record it at 3 a.m. in the morning, right after I record the cards being released, with maybe only reading them once before I read them off the first time for the video. Meaning I read these cards like once, and then at 3 a.m. in the morning, because I struggle to, or because I want to get the video up by 8, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours to upload, meaning I have 2 hours to record a match and edit it, all while my computer lags like hell. I had to randomly grab a grade 1 that I remembered off the top of my head that could soul charge. Tokugachi was the first one. And the reason why he is that is because in one of my favorite decks of all time for Overdress, and that would be my set 2 Verena Urger focus deck, which I still have in Tabletop Simulator specifically because I like that deck so much. This card was really helpful because it can be ditched during the ride phase. This deck can't ditch during the battle phase or main phase, but if it could, it would be able to proc off Tochigori's skill and send itself to soul. Armor pretty solid. It gets you free soul for Aelquilibra, and it pretty much gives you any soul blast target you need. And worst case scenario, if you need to call it the board, well, at least it's a 7k base. So 4 of is not bad, it's not amazing either, but it does its job well. And if you want to put another grade 1 here, by all means, it's fine. But I had limited time to pick a grade 1, and I picked the one that I remembered off the top of my head. And then we have 4 copies of Drag Rid Adal. So grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto and placed on rearguard circle. If you have 2 or more units with the overcharge ability, counterboss 1, draw a card, soul charge 1. I love this ability so much. I love overcharge considering it just allows me to be aggressive, and it counters itself with that ability as well. So if you have literally any other unit on your board with the overcharge ability, you get to draw and soul charge, which is nice. So you get extra soul and you get an extra hand card to replace this card. Then overcharge, pretty much how overcharge works is it's a continuous rearguard ability, or an auto. No, actually all of them are continuous rearguard abilities. If this unit was chosen by the ability of a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Equilibra in its card name, this unit gets 10,000 power. So being an 18, I mean, this part of the ability is always the same. This part right here, where it has to be chosen by the grade 3 ability. This part is the one that differs, but most of them get 10k anyways. But being an 18k booster or swinger just by being chosen by your Vanguard's ability, regardless of the grade your opponent's Vanguard's at, is nice. I will say this, no matter what, most likely your first grade 3 turn, you're at least hitting 2 columns of 36k or greater. Just saying that now, unless you bricked hard. And what by bricked hard, I mean you have only drawn triggers this entire game. Either way though, being able to soul charge on place and get hand cards is nice, and not to mention the fact being an 18k booster or swinger just by being chosen by the Vanguard's ability, who also gives this unit another 5k because of how its ability works, meaning this thing's a 23k booster or swinger. It's just amazing. So 4 of Edal, love this grade 1 a lot. I love his artwork too, just so smooth. Thank you Bushy for this deck. Then we have 4 copies of Drag Rid Farizia. So grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, overcharge, auto rearguard when this unit boosts into anything. If the unit was chosen by the ability of a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Equilibrium in its card name, it gets tons of power for that battle. Then at the end of that battle, if you do not countercharge this turn, retire this unit, countercharge 1. Okay, this deck does not use up CB out the, unless you're spamming this out the wazoo. In that case, yes, it will eat up CB. But being able to get countercharge back is great. Being a, again, 23k booster, because 5k that it gets from Equilibrium skill and then 10k that it gets from its own skill is pretty solid. And again, if you really need to eat up CB for next turn, you can just retire Fariza and get the counter charge back. You don't really have to worry about losing your board too much because we have a way to recycle our board in the form of this card. So 4 copies of Fariza are on very solid grade 1. She's not my favorite grade 1 in this deck because it does belong to this card, but all around she's a very nice support card to have, so I love to give her a 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Guardian Monk of Raging Flames Monju. Grade 1 boost, 0 souls, can base continue sentinel with 4 sentinels to the deck as part of card circle. Choose one use. It cannot be hit to the battle if your hand is 2 or more cards in. Choose a card from hand, guard, and standing PG. Nothing to specify doesn't mean this. If this only one of the cards is in your hand, you place it on guard circle. You don't have to discard one's great, because I made you be as aggressive as I won the early game. Spam the ever living hell out of these, and then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you for going all in on the offense, throw down Monju, give them the middle finger, and you're safe. You can make this any PG you want. You can make it Plasma Catapult. You can, or Sparkle Rejector. I don't know why I call it Plasma Catapult. You can make a Sparkle Rejector. You can make a Twin Buckler. I choose to make a Monju because, like I said in Levy Dross, I choose to make these cards that are the same and splashable in all the decks as their respective faded ones. And this card came out when DZ came out, so 4 of Monju. Then we have our last grade 1 in the deck, and I am so happy this card skills does what it does. 1 of them in the ride deck, 3 of them in the main deck of Rockentonverd Dragon. Rockentonverd Dragon. Verver Dragon. Rocket 10 River Dragon. Great on boost, Fat Show, aka base. I thought this was a knife for a second. Auto when rode upon by Gatling Canone Dragon. You may call his card to rear guard circle if you call it Soul Charge 1. I like how it's not a mandatory call and you get to Soul Charge. I remember the video that they had debuting this card, the anime match between this and Taizo. You know, not a lot of people, but like there's one specific comment I saw that said, oh, this is boring because it's literally just taking the Faded One skill from a lot of the grade ones that just call themselves a Soul Charge. Well, A, this one's a made clause. I don't think those were made clauses, but A, it gets you Soul Charge out of it, so you know, it helps with the Aelquilibra Soul Boss 2 skill, but also his overcharge ability, which sets him apart from those grade ones. Continuous rear guard circle is literally the exact same skill verbatim for Idol, wherever it's chosen by the grade 3 or greater Vanguard Aelquilibra's card name skill, 10,000 power for the turn. So 23k in all around, pretty solid. I love this grade 1 a lot. It's good. It's a 23k booster or swinger. You have these two in the same composite chart. You have a 46k column coming out of your opponent's grade 2 Vanguard. Like, this deck going first is just nuts. Going second, you get the first attack and you aggro your opponent down. Going first, they are not beating past your numbers. I guarantee that. All around, Rocket 10 Dragon is just an amazing grade 1. It calls itself to rear guard. It gets you soul. It allows me to be as aggressive as I want. And again, 23k, probably being boosted by 23k, or at least boosting something out, putting it at least to 30 something. So 4 of this grade 1, love it a lot. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. Then we have 4 copies of Dragrid of Shawhub. Okay, I know I'm crazy for saying this, but this is, in my opinion, the least valuable card in this deck. Not because I don't like his skill, but because I will literally aggro rush the ever-living hell out of these grade 1s to the point where this is not needed. Like, that's what I mean by this is my most useless card. It's not that I don't like him. I do, and I understand that his skill is good. It's just that by the time it gets to the point where I can call him, these things have already done enough of the heavy lifting to the point where I can just win with them. Anyway, Shawhub, great turns of FK shield, 10 get base, contains rear guard circle. During your turn, if you have 3 or more units of the overcharge ability, plus 5,000 power. So it counts itself. It counts this thing that calls itself already, and if you have literally any other thing with the overcharge ability, it's a 15k automatically, plus the Vanguard skill 20k, and then overcharge auto rear guard once per turn when your Vanguard that's grade 3 or greater attacks into anything else. Sorry, when your Vanguard attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if this unit was chosen by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard Aelquilibra's card name during this turn, energy blast 3 to stand this unit, and it gets tons of power for that turn. All around pretty solid because it's guaranteed to be a 30k, 5 from its skill, 5 from Aelquilibra's skill, 30 from its own skill, which is nice to have. And the fact that, technically speaking, if you found a way to superior ride from Aelquilibra to literally anything else, technically speaking, this card could still do the restand because your Vanguard just has to attack a grade 3 or greater unit. It doesn't have to be this. It just has to have been chosen by this ability this turn, which is all around pretty solid. Again, this is like where some of your EB is going to go. If it doesn't go to this, it goes to this. But either way, though, it's a very solid grade 2. It gets you multi-attack. It gets numbers, but like these get numbers better and faster and just easier. So 4 of, again, I understand it's good. I like its art. I think it's a good card. It's just that, yeah, grade 1 rushes for me. This is essentially Luart, but in Dragon Empire. Then we have, oh my god, mwah, I love this grade 2. A lot of the times the grade 2 is like the Rideline card that I don't like that much, but no, so smooth. Look at the scales on this thing. It's just mwah, magnifico. Gatling Canone Dragon. Also, if you know me, I don't care that much about guns, but like Gatling guns specifically from animes, one specific one, if you have watched my channel long enough, you know what I'm referring to, but one specific Gatling gun, let's just say it leaves everything in dots and blitzes. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, auto and rode upon by a grade 3 card Aelquilibra in this card name. Check top 3. Choose up to 1 grade 3 card from bottom. Reveal, put to your hand, and put the rest on bottom deck in any order. If you have a card, the overcharge ability, Soul Charge 1. Last video with the Levy Dross one, I said that the grade 2 there was the only one that could search PGs. I did say it was one of the only ones, if not the only one. Yeah, this can also search PGs. Worst case scenario, you can flip PGs off this, and that's what my friend did in this first match with it. He flipped a crit, he flipped a PG, and he flipped another heal. So, you know, being able to add a PG to hand was great. But being able to add like anything you need to hand is awesome. Not to mention the fact that if you do send something with the overcharge ability, you get to Soul Charge 1, so you increase your chance of being able to use this card more than twice a game, which is all around pretty solid. I do like this card a lot. It has a Gatling gun, so I automatically got my favor. It's got really cool design. Its scales look clean as hell. Its armor looks clean as hell. Free Soul Charge. Literally free top 3 search. Add anything you want. One of them in the ride deck, none in the main deck, but you know what? He gets the pass for just being him. And then we have our order, 4 copies to equilibrize the scales of the world. Cool. Grade 3, normal order. This card, all 4 copies show up for my friend. Only one of them show up for me, but I don't need one of them with how I play. Play it back on, so you want to have Vanguard Aelquilibra in his card name. Again, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I don't care. It's hot right now. I am solely on the verge of passing out. I have forgotten to breathe like 3 times during this video, so yeah, we're somewhere in that mixture line. Anyways, choose up to 2 grade 3 different card names from your drop zone with the overcharge ability. Come to rear guard circle. All around, pretty solid. It's a simple CB that gets you 2 rear guards, and if you want to play this smart, you can just like stack your drop zone perfectly. Like say for example, you just aggro normally with these cards, and then you for your ride deck you just card Shallhub and Panzer Shock. Like that's normally what I do, and then you play to equalize the scares of the world once you hit grade 3, and you get them back, and now suddenly it's like you didn't discard anything for ride deck at all, because now everything you discarded for ride deck is on your board. All around, this order is very solid. It's a nice full of. You get 2 rear guards for only 1 CB, and it pretty much allows you to do any setup you want. If you're playing against a board new deck, well, they pretty much recycle themselves almost immediately. And if you're worried about the CB cost, well, that's what Frieza is here for. So 4 copies of this card. And then we have Panzer Shrek Dragon, grade 3 to 13k base. This does not look like a cannon to me. This looks like a shining light where he's just pointing a spear to. Anyways, overcharge, auto rear guard when this unit attacks into anything. If this unit was chosen by the ability of your grade 3, get a Aelquilibra as card name. Energy Bash 3 plus 15,000 power for that battle. At the end of the battle, draw a card, retire this unit. Okay, let's be clear. This thing becomes an 18k when chosen by the Vanguard's ability. On swing, if you use that skill, it is a 33k plus a booster. Mind you, this does not require the opponent to be at grade 3. It just requires it to be chosen by your grade 3 ability. That would be a 46... No. Never mind. Because, again, 33k on its own. Plus, let's just say you boosted this with Edol, so who already is a 23k on its own thanks to the 5k from, the Vanguard's going to take care of its own skill. This is a 56k column going into a grade 2. That at the end of that battle, you get to draw. This card is busted. This deck is just essentially numbers on steroids, and the only card here that requires the opponent to be at grade 3 is Shallhub and this card's second effect. That is it. Everything else, you swing for numbers and you beat the crap out of your opponent. For a Panzer X Dragon, God forbid Bushy ever gave this deck a card that just randomly gained crits. Like, even if they made like a card that's base power was 2k, if it had double crit, arguably it'd be worth running in this deck because of the potential it has. For Panzer X Dragon, amazing grade 2, amazing grade 3, love this card to death, busted as all hell. I know because my friend spams this against me too. Then we have 3 copies in the main deck, 1 copy in the right deck of our last grade 3, Destined 1 of Scales, Aelquilibra. Not even going to try to pronounce that. Grade 3, 25% 13k base. Again, love the smooth scale art it has. Act Vanguard Circle once per turn. Soul Blast 2. Choose 3 of your rear guards. They all get 5,000 power for that turn. Then if you chose 2 more rear guards with the overcharge ability, draw a card plus another power for that turn. I love how it gives 5k to anything. So worst case scenario, if you just have to call a board of triggers, at least your triggers are going to be 10ks. Or in the case of these two, 9ks. And then you just boost them with each other, which is all around pretty solid. And then, if you did pick 2 cards with the overcharge ability, you get to draw an extra card to possibly get more rear guards or more defensive power. And then he becomes a 23k on its own. So, if you picked back row center and any of these 3 are back there, automatically 46k column. Again, while the opponent's at grade 2. And then Divine Skill, because God forbid this skill is, honestly, yeah, it sounds like I'm joking, but if this was actually parkable while the opponent was at grade 2, this deck would be either tier 1 or like very close to, it would either be tier 0 or very close to that because the numbers it could hit and the ability to bop damage. But Divine Skill, act Vanguard Circle once per game. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, CB1, choose 2 of your rear guards. They both get plus 5,000 power. Then if your opponent's damage on has 4 less cards in it, choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, deal them a damage, and the power increase of that triggers effects. Reveal for this effect's damage check, lose 10k. We have seen cards swap trigger power-ups to your side of the field. That was the Scorpion from V-Series, which I honestly wish they kind of brought back with this skill. We've seen them outright nullify triggers with anything related to Novell, and now we've just seen them lower their power by 10k, which is great. I mean, it does shut down damage triggers, but like, I don't think there's a card in D, or I don't think there's a card in general that increases the power of damage triggers. I know there's ones that can increase the power of drive check triggers, such as God Hand Dragon for front triggers, but I don't think there's one that increases damage trigger power. But the downside is, it doesn't stop the over trigger. Meaning if your opponent flips the over, well, F you. Also, I just now realized the card has lightning in the background, but if your opponent flips the over, then F you. Either way, though, being able to essentially, if you, on the turn you divine skill, trigger literally a full board of overcharge cards in one go, and literally every other turn, as long as you have 3 cards with overcharge, you're gonna have 3 23k boosters or swingers somewhere around the board, and you're gonna get a draw, and this is gonna be 23k swing. All around is pretty solid. It's just beat sticks on steroids. You don't have to think about it. You just throw down, attack, and ask questions later. That's all it is, and I love this deck for that. So 3 of them in the main deck, 1 of them in the right deck, possible bop damage, good overall number distribution, and it's not busted. It's just actually balanced, which fits his name, honestly. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Honestly, this deck's very fun to play. Like I said, I enjoy this Ride Lines aesthetic so much. Look at it. They all have got Gatling guns, except for this one has missiles. But like, this is a dragon with Gatling guns for wings. This thing just has cannons. This thing is beautiful. All of their scales are like so smooth looking. This is a 56 column waiting to happen on a grade 2 turn. This turns your Ride deck into board presence. I don't need to talk about this. This gets you restands if you need it. And your entire grade 1 line is just beat the hell out of your opponent. And this can be whatever the hell you want. I was using Amazing Katachi because, you know, the Soul Boss 2 is kind of hefty, so being able to soul charge easily is nice. Either way, though, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. This deck is super fun to play, and I definitely recommend it. It is my favorite Destined one so far for a reason. Though, to be fair, though, we haven't seen Exceedance or Leo or the Lyric Montero one yet, though I am heavily confident this is going to remain my favorite. So, I'm this one here. I hope you all enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch. I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to set up your Vanguards.